everybody. This is Brian Wallace from NowSourcing, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a presentation about infographics. No doubt you've seen lots of infographics out there on the web. If you're like a lot of people into social media, you're probably complaining that you're seeing too many infographics out there. So today we're going to talk about something not just straight up about infographics, but more about why infographics matter and why a quality infographic will go the extra distance that you're looking for. And you see just right here on the title slide, these are two of the ones that we've done recently, one for a company called NowStreaming and one for the Better Business Bureau, that have done quite well in terms of gaining a tremendous amount of traffic and links. So, as you see this little guy here saying that haters are going to hate, a lot of people are tired of infographics. This gentleman over here and several other infographic designers go on and on all day complaining that they see too many infographics and just start saying, well, these are the kinds of charts and fonts that they use. And, you know, yeah, if you're in that echo chamber, great. You are going to see lots of infographics out there. There's no question about that. Basically, anybody who has a website and gets Photoshop or any free tools out there, they're going to give a crack at an infographic. That doesn't mean that it is an infographic. And the reality of infographics are that they are very multidisciplinary. So it's not just that you're good at Photoshop or whatever tool of choice you have. It's not that you're just good at research. It really is a combination of that research, quantitative, qualitative research, all the graphics that come with it, and really having a sense for what flows for the internet, as well as just keeping on top of different trends that are happening. So, as much as we think that everybody's seeing infographics and they're going on all day long, we're almost at 7 billion people in the world, and only about a little over 2 billion people have the internet. So, I don't know about all of you, but how many infographics do you actually see on a daily basis? I'm looking at infographics all day long. I see, you know, maybe a couple dozen at the most ever in a day, and of that, I would say a handful at best are actually good. And when I say good, again, something that really is authoritative, definitive, and sometimes, you know, you can just go on for too long. Really, you don't want to be going more than, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes in terms of reading time for at least a skim. So if you have somebody that does an infographic and they're just going on and on, they've kind of lost the point. It's supposed to be a data visualization that you're supposed to be able to pick all that stuff up quickly and be able to come back to it. And some infographics are just plain terrible. So if you'll see this thing here on the right, this actually was picked up by Newsday, which is a pretty well-known newspaper out in Long Island, New York. I don't know. If you take a look at this thing, I really don't know what is going on here. So I mean, all I see is 81% Japan, 73% United States, 20% India. You know, when I think about stuff like that, well, India is a pretty big country, so it's kind of confusing. It was some sort of survey result, and it wasn't notable enough for me to remember everything about it. And even if I showed you all of it in context, I'm sure you would agree, it's just not a very good visualization. You really need to go a little bit further instead of just making, you know, pretty circles with numbers in it. So the graphic quality, of course, is a very important component of the infographic, but typography too. So when it comes to that, there's certain typography that may look good for a regular website or print advertising or other different banner ads, anything like that. There are just certain ones out there that seem to be popular when it comes to infographics, but I'm not going to go and list a bunch of them because it really depends on the overall theme. Then we've got the color scheme, obviously, the text-to-image ratio, so sometimes you'll have a lot more info than graphic. That's also very wrong. The flow, very important. It shouldn't just be random facts that are thrown all over the place, like we see for our little circle chart here. Research, very, very important. So sometimes clients come to us, they know exactly what they want. So the Foundation for Economic Education, very big in the Libertarian Party in politics, they came to us with top-notch economists. They really knew what they were talking about. But a lot of the time people just think, hey, you know, we've heard a lot of good things about infographics, so we're just going to give this a shot. And that's nice, it's good, it's a good start in the right direction, but you know, just keep in mind that a lot of the time, if you're going to be the ones doing the infographics, you're the ones that are putting the research together. Even if it's a data store, kind of like what we had on the Better Business Bureau, we had to go through volumes of data to really come out with some nice call-out facts and figures. Of course, they had certain things that they wanted in their annual report, but still, there's a lot of research that has to be done. And citing sources, this is a huge fail that I see all over the web. it's great to have all these different call-outs, but if somebody's going to call you to question, or maybe you had a typo in there, you really need to back it up with the facts and show the sources you got it from. Because, you know, what if the source was wrong? What if the source was impartial? There's a lot of things that can go wrong there. So, enough about the bad. What about the good? What can good infographics do? We've got here a little picture of, this was right after the second quarter earnings for Google, a company called WordStream out of Boston. They're big in pay-per-click management software. We've also done a few other infographics with them before. And right off the heels of the second quarter announcement, where they just absolutely made a killing in that corner, they wanted to, with their research data and also some of the financial data, talk about where Google makes its money. So even if you don't care about pay-per-click, even if you don't care about WordStream, you probably care about Google if you're listening to me today, because you probably found this on the internet. So it's just a very catchy, interesting title. So even if you're not a PPC guy, even if you're not an internet marketer, it's just kind of interesting to see things like insurance and loans and mortgages. And it's too small to see here, but number 20 was actually cord blood, which got a lot of people up in arms and saying, what is cord blood? But point being, you can get a tremendous amount of traffic and links. They were picked up all over the web. In terms of page rank, they had probably 24 PR 9 and 8 sites. So it was an absolute killing in terms of links. Traffic, I think we had probably over 100,000 page views, and it still continues to climb. It still continues to get high authority links. And something like that is really going to be evergreen. By evergreen, I mean that it really could just be around on the internet for quite a while or forever. You might think that that's a little bit weird because it's a second quarter earning, but just the topical matter really makes that happen. So here's another one here. This is about standing out in the crowd. This one, you heard me mention a little bit before, is about the Better Business Bureau. And they came to us. They wanted to discuss the top 10 online scams. It's actually of 2010, but it still did amazingly well, even though we put it out in the middle of 2011. You'll see, if you zoom in real close, on the bottom left, you'll actually see some different rage comics here. And there was quite a bit of internal debate. They were not sure that that was appropriate, and I assured them, you know, it's okay to be a little bit edgy sometimes, and it had the desired effect. A lot of people came back and they said, oh wow, it looks like the Better Business Bureau, somebody there really likes all the different, you know, internet memes that are happening on Reddit, and that's really cool. We appreciate that. So a lot of people thought it was just somebody that made a joke of the original one. And it's okay to just really push the envelope like that. It's great to have, you know, a wonderful company that'll listen to that advice. Not everybody will go for it. So if you have to be more conservative, that's okay. But whenever you can, it's wonderful to be able to do stuff like this to stand out. And before we finish for today, let's talk a little bit about the future of infographics. So yeah, there's lots of infographics out there. And yeah, lots of people are trying to get into them. And yes, eventually lots of people will make that into a core competency. So how do people stay ahead of the game? Well, I'll tell you. Instead of just having a regular infographic go out on a regular website, you can think of some different kinds of unique applications. So I've seen some different companies out there, they'll actually use infographics as part of their annual reports. It's kind of an interesting thing that you might not have thought about. Some people are starting to integrate that more into TV and do things like visualizations or transparencies. You'll see a lot of that on Good Magazine. You'll see a lot of video infographics. We've gone into that as well. Transition into print. We're finding more and more people actually, as much as they're seeing it on the web and they love it, they also want PDF downloads so they can print. Keep in mind that an infographic typically is very skinny because you're trying to fit it on a computer screen, so you will want to work with designers to try to make that appropriate for a standard size poster. Otherwise you'll have a real skinny one. And would be remiss to not mention Visually. It's a new startup out there that's really pushing the curve of what's going on with infographics. It's giving you some different self-service tools. Right now it allows you to compare your Twitter account versus someone else, and it has some different stock images for infographics, and you're able to make an infographic on the fly. I don't think that services like this will ever outright replace good infographic design, but it's good to see that, you know, if you want something that just gives your website a little bit more of a kick, or whatever you're trying to present or trying to get links for, that you have tools of the trade like that. Thanks everybody for tuning in today, and I hope you'll subscribe to our channel and check out some of our other presentations.